They call us black. But look at the contradiction. Black is the absence of light. And yet the people labeled black are often the very people whose bodies carry a built-in relationship to the sun. And what if the thing we were mocked for, our melanin, our tone, our connection to sunlight, was never a weakness? What if it was always power? And the world had to hide that fact to justify how it treated us. Today, I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm here to challenge a story, because stories shape identity. And if the story is false, it can steal a lifetime. Welcome to EarthTone Archetypes. Let's talk about the power of melanin and the lies that tried to bury it. Quick reminder, this channel is about healing and truth. So I'm going to speak plainly, but with respect. When I say lies, I'm not talking about everyday misunderstandings. I'm talking about long-running misinformation. Ideas repeated so long they feel normal. Ideas that shaped laws, schooling, media, and even how we see ourselves. And today we're going to cover 3 things. 1, how language programs people and why the word black matters. 2, what melanin actually represents in nature and in the human story. 3, how the truth was hidden and how we reclaim identity without hating anyone. If you're here for wisdom and clarity, you're in the right place. If you're here for division, this won't feed that. We're not here to blame people for existing. We're here to expose false narratives and choose truth on purpose. Let's start with something simple. Words are not neutral. Words are instructions. Words are shortcuts that tell the brain what to feel before we even think. Think about common phrases in everyday life. Black gets connected to negative meanings. Blacklist, blackmail, black market, black sheep. White gets connected to purity. White wedding, white knight, clean slate, white glove. Even if you never intended harm, language still carries old wiring, and when children grow up hearing their identity placed inside that wiring, it shapes confidence, ambition, and self-image. Now, some people say, we reclaim the word black, and I respect the strength behind that. Reclaiming is real, but reclaiming doesn't mean we have to stay trapped inside a label that was built in someone else's framework. Here's the deeper question. What if the world's definition of black was designed to make you feel like the absence of something, like the absence of light, value, history, origin? Because if you can convince a people they came from nothing, it's easier to justify giving them nothing. The first lie is often a naming lie because names become mental boxes. And once a person accepts the box, the world doesn't have to fight them as hard. They will shrink themselves to fit. So I'm offering a different frame. We are not black as in void. We are earth tone, living human beings with tones found in soil, stone, sun-baked clay, and rich earth. A spectrum, a legacy, a lineage that's older than the labels placed on it. Now let's talk about melanin, because melanin is where the world's obsession gets weird. Melanin is not a trend. It's not just color. Melanin is a natural pigment found across living organisms. It shows up in skin, hair, eyes. It shows up in animals, plants, and even microbes. And in humans, it helps the body manage interaction with sunlight. At a basic level, melanin helps protect the skin from ultraviolet radiation. That's not an opinion, that's biology. It's part of the body's toolkit for surviving under stronger sunlight environments across long periods of time. And what's important here is the psychology. If melanin is protection, resilience, and adaptation, why was it portrayed as a curse? Why was it portrayed as dirty? Why was it portrayed as primitive? Because when you want to dominate a people, you don't just steal land, you steal meaning. You flip strength into stigma. There was a time when pseudoscience tried to rank human beings like products. They used skull measurements, fake charts, made up categories, Anything to make exploitation feel logical. That wasn't real science. That was politics wearing a lab coat. And the result was a global conditioning. Darkness equals bad. Lightness equals good. And the very people most associated with melanin were made into the symbol of less than. Here's what I want you to hear clearly. Melanin is not inferior. Melanin is not something to be ashamed of. Melanin is part of an ancient relationship between human life and the sun. And if we're being honest, the modern world tells on itself. They tan to imitate it. They inject to imitate it. They market bronze, caramel, golden glow. They admire it, then deny it, mock it, then monetize it. That contradiction is not an accident. It's what happens when society wants the aesthetic and the benefit, but doesn't want to honor the people. That's why I call it mocked in public, researched in private, because the truth is always hunted, even when the people who carry it are disrespected. So how do you hide a truth? You don't hide it with one big secret. You hide it with 1,000 small edits. You choose what gets funded. You choose what gets published. You choose which heroes are emphasized. You choose which civilizations get called advanced and which get called tribal. You choose what is taught as central and what is taught as a footnote. And over generations, people start believing the edited version. Now, let me be careful. I'm not saying nobody contributed to history. I'm saying the global story has often been told in a way that minimizes the contributions of darker peoples and over-centers the contributions of others. That imbalance has consequences. Because if a child never sees greatness connected to their image, they might grow up thinking greatness is something they have to borrow. And if a society never sees greatness connected to a group, it becomes easier to mistreat that group. So the hidden story isn't just facts, it's identity. It's the psychological permission to stand tall. And here's the deeper layer. When you hide a people's origin story, you can steer their destiny because a person who doesn't know where they come from is easier to aim. That's why this channel exists. Not to fight people, to free people. So what do we do with all this? We start by telling the truth with dignity. We refuse to internalize shame. We refuse to pass down confusion to our children, and we choose language that reflects reality and power. If the label Black has been a banner of unity for you, I respect that. But I'm offering a question for your spirit. Does the label serve your future? Or does it keep you attached to an old framing? EarthTone is not about being better than anyone. EarthTone is about being accurate. It's about rooting identity in nature, origin, and truth, without begging anyone to validate it. And remember, we can call out oppressive behavior without hating human.
I wanted to know, why I was getting pulled over.
Melanin is power. Melanin is beauty. Melanin is history. It's time our words reflected that truth. Remember, the real question is, who are we really as a people? If this message spoke to you, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with somebody who needs to hear it. And in the comments, tell me this. If you were going to call yourself something other than Black, what would it be? And why? Would it be earth tone, melanated, brown, copper tone, or something else? Let's build.